The Balance Test Report Fall Index is intended to provide a reliable tool for measuring the risk of falling while maintaining an orthostatic posture. The risk of falling is a complex event that must be evaluated in a multifactorial way. One of the factors that is associated with the risk of falling is impaired motor control. In this context, it is essential to evaluate the ability of the subject to maintain balance in a single stance support. The clinical report of the balance test is composed of two main sections: a first section where the different balance indices are shown, and the second section where the movement of the pelvis are highlighted. In the first section, the following indices quantify the subject's ability to maintain postural control. Risk of fall. The parameters is calculated as illustrated by Springer. This index allows for a repeatable and quantifiable falling risk index, has evaluating the purely motor aspect of falling by measuring the duration of the subject can hold one leg balance without falling. Angle between vertical axis and main axis of the 95% confidence of the ellipse represent the angle formed by the main axis of the confidence ellipse and the anterior-posterior direction. This index allows us to perform clinical evaluation on the subject's main oscillation direction. 95% confidence ellipse area, ellipse that contains 95% of the center of mass displacement path. This index represents an index of overall postural performance. The smaller the area, the better the performance. Range of anterior-posterior and middle lateral center of mass oscillation. The displacement amplitude is the distance between the maximum and the minimum displacement of the center of mass for each direction. The higher the values measured by this index, the worse postural stability. The amplitude of the center of mass is a reliable parameter. The analysis was carried out on both the anterior-posterior and the medial-lateral direction. Average speed of the anterior rear and average lateral oscillation of the center of mass. The speed is calculated by dividing the center of mass excursion by the test time. Both anterior-posterior and mid-lateral values are calculated. This index reflects the efficiency of the postural control system. The lower speed, the better postural control. The trajectory length of the center of mass. It is considered a valid measurable outcome in numerous populations and conditions of equilibrium. The shorter the length of the path, the better the postural stability. Obviously, in the evaluation of this index, it is necessary to take into account the duration of the test. It has equal performance in tests of longer duration. We will have a greater track length. Length function of surface. Represent the ratio between the length of the trace and the surface of the ellipse. This index describes the performance of the postural system. Under normal conditions, it should be approximately equal to 1. If less than 1, it can indicate two conditions. Normal surface with reduced trace length. The subject uses little energy to keep stable. Normal length with increased surface. Purely precise postural system. Greater than 1 generally indicates the use of a lot of energy by postural system. The second section shows the movement of the subject's pelvic during the acquisition of the test. In the upper row, we can see 3 rings that indicates the range of movement on the different anatomical planes, while in the lower box, we have information on the preferential direction of the movement. In particular, in the ring on the left, we can see the measures of pelvic tilt. In the ring in the center, we can see the measures of the pelvic obliquity. In the ring on the right, we can see the measures relating pelvic rotation. In the box below, we can go to visualize the average of the pelvic obliquity divided into the 3 anatomical planes. This allows us to insert further elements of evaluation within the clinical reasoning. In fact, in a subject with good postural control, we expect to see a rather limited range of movement of the pelvis, as the correction strategy of the balance perturbation should take place at the ankle and knee level. By integrating all the information collected, we can have a global assessment that allows us to understand which are the major weaknesses in the strategy used by our subject to maintain an upright position. Being able to quantify the risk of falling, especially in the prevention phase, now is essential. In fact, today's falls are the second leading cause of accidental death worldwide. Every year, an estimated of 646,000 people worldwide die from accidental falls. Adults over the age of 65 suffer the greatest number of fatal falls. There are 37.3 million falls, severe enough to require medical attention, worldwide every year. Prevention strategies should establish effective policies to reduce the risk. Thanks to the use of fall index, we have an objective evaluation parameters which can be used to create personalized rehabilitation interventions to reduce the risk of falling.